So, I have been thinking about this thing people are calling performative male syndrome. There's a whole frenzy right now about this new classification of men who basically perform in order to be with women. And the obvious question is, how is that different from the normal thing? Because humans have always been performing. We just call it being charming when it works. But if you are not aware of the phenomena, here's the short version. There's a visual build around this man. The guy with a tote bag, retro earbuds, a book posted up in a coffee shop like it's his natural habitat. He's pro feminism, pro LGBTQ, pro everything, woke. And the idea is simple. If you agree with most of the stuff women are into, you are signaling you are safe and aligned. You are basically wearing a green flag costume. And the irony is, the opposite often happens. Women get repulsed by it because they can smell the performance. If it feels like an act, it reads like an act. So, yeah, that's them. Now, people have already done the big cultural breakdown of this. Louis Perry and Mary Harrington talked about it on the Williamson podcast. So, I'm not here to rehash all that. I want to talk about something more personal because I went on a date recently, and the date itself isn't the point of this conversation. The point is what hit me afterwards while I was heading back. Am I a performative male? And the answer that came up was surprisingly yes. And I was like, whoa, 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 hold on. Where did all of this come from? Really? Am I? And my mind was like, yeah, you are. Unfortunately, you fit the criteria. The next question came one another after another. Why do I fit the archetype? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Is it that bad? And most importantly, am I doing it to attract women? So let's unpack this. So, why this performative male thing is even happening? Here's the part most people miss. This isn't just guys being cringe. This is happening in a specific social environment. We are in a low trust, digitally mediated dating world. The older model was you meet people through repeated normal interaction, friends of friends, communities, dinner parties, work, or third places, what we call it. People could actually verify your character over time. Now, it's dating apps, Instagram, short clips, algorithms, and a constant reputational threat. And yes, the post Me Too, a lot of men are simply more cautious. Not because they're all predators, but because the downside risk of being misread feels higher than the upside reward of trying. So, what happens? Men adapt. And one adaptation is I need to look non threatening. I need to look safe. I need to look like I'm already approved. That's where the performative male aesthetic becomes a strategy. It's not just a fashion choice, it's a strategical strategy or it's a survival strategy in a low trust market. Also, if we zoom out, we are in what people are literally calling an intimacy recession. Sex is down, birth rates are down, social life is more fragmented, people are more online, more isolated, and more anxious. And in this dense environment, everyone starts optimizing their signaling. Which brings us to the next part. Why women get the ick from such type of men? See, women aren't stupid. They are not getting brainwashed by TikTok. They are detecting something. In nature, the most reliable signals are costly. If it's hard to fake, it means something. But modern dating has created a bunch of low cost signals. You can buy the props, you can memorize the lines, you can post the infographic, you can carry the book, you can say the right things at the right time at basically zero cost. So the signal becomes noisy. And when the signal is noisy, people start looking for authentic markers. And when they detect a mismatch, they get that ick. There's also this concept that maps perfectly onto it, the uncanny valley. In robotics, it's when something is almost human, but not quite, and it creeps you out. Socially, it's the same. When someone's personality is almost real, but it feels rehearsed. When the empathy sounds like script, when the feminism sounds like strategy, when the vibe is, I'm doing the correct actions to unlock sex. That's not morality, that's not ideology, that's pattern recognition. Your nervous system picks it up and goes, something is off about this person. And you back away. That's the egg. So that brings us to the next section. So, why did my mind say yes? Because I do a lot of these things people describe. I haven't reached the toad backstage yet, but I'm definitely that guy sitting in the cafe with headphones working on this very blog. I do read philosophy as well, so I guess that makes me a book guy. I'm not 100% woke, but to some extent I am, can't deny it. And at the same time, I'm also conservative. Maybe I will talk about this in my upcoming videos. So, on the surface level, I check enough boxes to get labeled. And this is where it gets interesting because the label is about the outside, but the whole argument is about the inside. So, is it a good thing or a bad thing? So, here's a twist. Even if it started as me being performative, it didn't stay that way. At some point, I genuinely started liking those things. And there's nothing wrong with liking stuff women are into, or more broadly, stuff your average guy group might not validate. The kind of things where someone goes, bro, that's too gay. Like even enjoying coffees, reading, being emotionally aware, having opinions that aren't fueled by testosterone and internet rage. As I progressed spiritually, I realized something that Jung basically built an entire framework around it. Attunement with your feminine side of oneself is crucial for balanced growth. Jung called it anima, the inner feminine inner man. And whether you like Jung or not, the practical point stands. If you chop off half your emotional range to look manly, you don't become strong, you become brittle, you become reactive, you become one bad day away from acting like a fucking idiot. But men get penalized for this kind of integration, usually by other men. So the proper stable guy gets cultivated in a very specific shape: raw, aggressive, rough, emotionally illiterate. And if you deviate from that, you get mocked back into compliance. But let's just say it plainly, that's not strength. That's a social costume too. So, am I doing it to attract women? For me, no. And that's the key distinction, by the way. I genuinely like sitting in cafes, drinking fancy coffee, and performing to work because my blogs are actually written in cafes. It keeps my creative juices going. It has no relation to and no intention of attracting women. So when people say it's performative, my response is maybe it looks like a performance from the outside, but from the inside, it's just my real life. The core issue isn't the tote bag, it isn't the coffee, it isn't the book, it isn't about being progressive, neither it is about being conservative. It's the motive. It's whether you are outsourcing your personality to whether you think you will get approved. Because if you are, people feel it, right? So basically, we are all performing anyway. So gender is performative, meaning it's not just something you are, it's something you do repeatedly until it becomes legible to other people. So if you zoom out, the whole performative male accusation gets funny because the guy calling you performative is also performing. He's just performing a different script, different uniform, same game. So the real question is not, are you performing? The real question is your performance aligned with something real inside you? Or are you running a con? So then one might ask, is it a bad thing then? Here's my take. If you are performing to attract women and you think doing all this woke shit will make women like you, then yeah, it's bad. Not because the positions are inherently wrong, but because you're not being honest. You are trying to hack a social trust. You're trying to buy intimacy with aesthetics. And women can smell that. Men can smell that too, honestly. It's the vibe of someone trying to be a person instead of being one. But if you are not doing it for attention, if you genuinely like it, if it's actually you, then do as much performance as you want. No one cares, right? And if someone does, fuck them. Like, don't bother, right? So here's my closing thoughts. Maybe I fit the performative male archetype from the outside, but from the inside, it's not a baiting strategy. It's not a bait. It's not a con. It's just my life, right? And if you are watching this and you are stressed about being labeled performative, here's the only question that matters. Are you doing it to be seen, or are you doing it because it's real? So that's it from my side. See you in the next one. Thank you.